We all know about cancer and common cancers. So endometrial cancer, skin cancer, liver cancer, prostate cancer, colon cancer.
Yeah.
These 5 cancers, people who drink coffee have a lower cancer mortality from these. So 5 cancers: cirrhosis of the liver, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's dementia, the early stage of Alzheimer's called cognitive decline, low risk in coffee drinkers, low risk of type 2 diabetes. Here both decaf and regular coffee work. And if you drink 4 to 6 cups, there's a 40 to 54% reduction in developing type 2 diabetes. And if one already has type 2 diabetes and they drink 2 cups, regular or decaf, there's a 30% reduction in cardiovascular mortality.
Beyond wine, we really care about health. The health of the planet and the health of each other. That's what inspired us to start this business. Our family of team members meets every morning for a group meditation, followed by an open gratitude session. We believe a sound mind with a focus on peace is the best instrument for change. Joint meditation is the cornerstone of our company culture, and it helps us remember what's important, spreading joy and love, just like our family growers. Our family is a collection of passionate, health-conscious individuals who love to laugh and enjoy each other's company. We eat seasonally, grow our own vegetables, cook together, and share wine. Our team is incredibly dedicated to our mission. Everything from sourcing the wines to answering service questions. Your natural wines are found and sourced around the world by our wine team. They taste every one, oversee their lab testing, and choose exactly which ones go in which box. If you order, your individual box will be packed by our incredibly hardworking fulfillment team. If you have any questions, your service requests will be handled by a wonderfully loving member experience family who only have one goal in mind: your 100% happiness. This video is put together by our talented media team, filmed and edited in-house, just like the rest of our artful media. From our unique creations to our printed lifestyle piece called A Matter of Taste. We put love into everything we do, and we hope to share it with you.
Good afternoon. Happy Saturday. You're tuning into the Ask Dr. Ernst show. Hey, it's a show where pounds are shed, disease is dead, and where you can be set free from your health problems. I'm your co-host, Dr. Aaron Ernst. Loving the fact that I get to do this amazing topic today with Dr. Chris Demczar.
Yeah, I'm excited, super excited as well.
I think as being, like chiropractors at heart, anytime we get to talk about a neurological connection to a health issue, this just rings true to what we do day in and day out in our offices. Yeah. And how exciting that we get to teach you guys today, I think one of the most undiagnosed, overlooked root causes of not just diabetes, but a lot of health issues. And as we're continuing this conversation, this topic into diabetes, we want to let you guys know, hey, there is a known neurological connection to possibly a reason why you have the type of diabetes you have. We have some research today. We're going to be showing you guys how even type 1 diabetics have had improvements with chiropractic care. Type 2 diabetics have had improvement with chiropractic care. And I think it comes to the sake of we really need to hone in on what is really chiropractic care. Like when we say chiropractic care can help with diabetes, like are we saying it's a treatment for diabetes? No, we're talking about how your nervous system is interconnected to function. And if we want sugars to be normalized, A1C to be normalized, we need proper, healthy, organic function. We're talking about the organs that are connected with blood sugars and things to this effect.
Yep.
So I want to take a moment and just invite you to open up your hearts, your ears, and your minds to hearing something that you might say, I've never been told this. That doesn't seem like my classic MDs described this. And just know that through the ages, I mean, chiropractic has been around for 120 something plus
25 years now, yeah.
People have healed from all kinds of organic conditions by removing something that we have to talk about today called a subluxation. It is the misalignment in your spine that affects nerve functionality, where there is a compression to a nerve, and thus it decreases the signal that the brain uses to go across that nerve to go into your organs, your cells, and tissues. So if I have a subluxation present in the zones that control liver functionality, the effect is my sugars might start to elevate.
Exactly. And isn't it so interesting, Doc, that when we think about diabetes, and for all of you guys listening right now, when you think about diabetes, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Oh, blood sugar's not doing what it's supposed to. Blood sugar's too high or blood sugar's too low.
Right.
Oh, insulin's off. So it's got to be something related to blood sugar and insulin. And so a lot of the times that's where the thought process stops. Okay, I'm drawing an interference with my hands, right? The thought process stops with blood sugar and insulin. But you have to know that there's something greater going on than just those two things. And so what's the larger systems at play? Well, we can talk about the pancreas. You can talk about the hormone system. Well, what controls the pancreas? What controls the hormone systems in your body? That's the nerve flow. That's the nerve signals from those organs to the brain, and then the brain sending some sort of output to say, all right, body, do this, do that now, to the pancreas, to whatever needs to happen to make sure that the blood sugar can be appropriately regulated and all functions of your body are regulating themselves. And I love the word you used, an organic, natural way.
Yeah, and this isn't something that's like brand new. I mean, for eons, we've known the anatomy. We've done dissective studies where we've discovered, hey, this nerve comes out of this portion of your spine. It goes to this organ. But I want to make sure you guys understand, like, a nerve in your body is similar to that of like a wire sending an electrical signal. So if I take my microphone and I cut the wire that's connecting this to our receiving box, I'm still speaking, but no one can hear me because there's a signal disruption. Now, if I took that same wire and I regulate maybe the volume, I can take my volume here, which is this one, and just start reducing this and pull it down and pull it down and pull it down and pull it down. And then eventually you don't even hear me. And then as I raise it back up, it starts to come back. That's what a spinal subluxation does. It puts pressure and irritation on a nerve that sends a signal to an organ system, and the location of the subluxation often determines the effect we see in the body.
Exactly. Yep. And so a lot of the times when it comes to diabetes, we find that there's a neurological subluxation in multiple different areas of somebody's spine. It could be up here in the top of the neck because there's an all-important nerve that I know we're going to dive into today called the vagus nerve.
Yes.
And the vagus nerve has such an important impact on your ability to regulate your sugars. And then also the nerves that go directly to your pancreas and are going to, the pancreas secretes the hormones that control sugar balance. So if sugar's high or sugar's low, the pancreas has an answer for that and your body has an answer for that. And those nerves are coming out of the middle of your back.
Yep. And so if you're kind of listening now going like, oh man, this is fascinating. I've never heard this. I'd like to get some more information. One, we have a Diabetes Heal Thyself ebook. There's an entire section on here dedicated to the neurological connection as being a root cause of diabetes. This ebook is yours free. Just text the word diabetes, your name and email to 704-906-2094. We're also hosting I'll call it Destroying Diabetes Masterclass. It's
absolutely.
like an all-inclusive online webinar event. It's on Saturday, April 8th at 10 a.m. You get free access to that event. You get free access to this ebook where it's going to show you, how do we test for this? We're going to talk about that today. How do you actually fix this? We're going to talk about that today. And what if you're the type of patient, like some of these case studies we're going to review, who've been medicating for 10, 15, even 20 years, not seeing improvements, and you take that road less traveled, you take that step of faith into, I'll call it more of a holistic or natural approach to your healthcare, seeking out proper chiropractic, getting the spinal nerve interferences removed, and then watching things like your sugars improving and your A1C improving simply because you're reconnecting that innate communication. It's an inborn signal that flows down the spinal cord over the nerves to all parts of your body. And if there's a subluxation present, and listen, this is why it's so vital that maybe if you're listening in a car or on the radio or on your phone, that you hop over to one of our live streams, either on facebook.com or youtube.com. We have infographics we're holding up. So when we talk about a subluxation, we're talking about a spine that's out of alignment, that's putting pressure on a nerve, decreasing the signal. And what region, right? So like here's our roadmap, right? What region the subluxation is in determines the effect. And since every organ in our body is neurologically connected, today we're discussing how it connects to your pancreas for insulin production, how it connects to your liver for sugar metabolism. And if you have subluxations in the zones that control your liver or your pancreas or the vagus nerve, that could be the reason why you're struggling despite diet and exercise and doing everything right to break your diabetes. And it's possible you just simply need to have a correct evaluation, a location of finding subluxations, a removal of them with structural specific care, and that could improve your condition.
Exactly. And one of the things that's fascinating is if you're managing diabetes or if you're being told you're pre-diabetic or that you need to worry about it, why are you're being told that you have diabetes? Why? What caused the diabetes, right? We have to talk about that. And you're probably being told, well, it's either bad diet or lack of exercise, like you said, or it's genetic. It's just your whole family has it. And I'm going to tell you right now, that is not the case at all. It's not because somebody in your family has it at all. So when we really get down to it, it's because of subluxation, like you said, Dr. Ernst. So the real question is, and we got to dive into this, why does someone have subluxation? What causes subluxation? I'm going to hold up the infographic again. What causes a change or a compression onto some neural tissue in the spine or in one of the nerves leaving the spine that goes to a very specific organ that causes the signal to say, yep, now we can't produce insulin. Yep, now the body can't regulate its sugars anymore. What would even cause that?
And here's the thing. They're caused by day-to-day activity, how we sleep, how we sit, how we work, the stressors we place onto our body. They're caused by even chemical irritations, the foods we consume, the toxins we have. It puts a physical stress onto the body, and the reaction is typically a subluxation, an interference in signaling. So I think for me, what we've seen year after year after year being chiropractors is most people sleep in a position that's not conducive to healthy spinal patterns. They use a pillow that's too big or too small. They're sleeping on their side with no support, their head's tilting, and this constant day in and day out stress creates a subluxation, a misalignment. The use of cell phones and tablets and computers, we're constantly in this sort of cowering forward, looking down position, is putting tremendous amounts of pressure and strain on our joints. And what happens is they subluxate, they get stuck, they lose their alignment pattern. And as soon as that happens, you start to lose neural signaling, you lose neural integrity, and then the effect is now felt. Blood pressure can start to go up, blood sugar start to go up, insulin productivity starts to drop. You lose functionality, and that's the real problem here.
Exactly. I like how you described all of those, what we would say are micro traumas, right? And so to me, and as a structurally based chiropractor, subluxation is the accumulation of stress over time. It's not something that instantly just gets placed there and magically your body now has some sort of pressure on the nervous system. It doesn't work like that. It's an accumulation of stress over what could be years, decades even, right? So you've been holding on to stress for decades that your body has to try to protect against. How does it do that? With subluxation. And a lot of these stressors or ability to accumulate stress and then buffer that stress come from external things, like you were talking about, the way that we interact with the world, the behaviors that we choose to do, how we sleep every night, the toxins that we're exposed to in and on our bodies. And then there's some internal things as well, like our thoughts and our mentality, our emotional state. Every signal that's got to go up into your brain has to go through different chambers, I like to call them, and different chambers are going to regulate our emotional output, and other chambers will regulate the thoughts and the action steps that we can take. And our body does really well when we take action. Our body does so great when we get a signal to just take an action step, and it may be conscious or subconscious or unconscious. The problem is so many of everybody's signals going to your brain right now even are triggering some sort of mental or emotional signal pattern, some sort of emotional pathway. And if this is triggering to you just to listen to this and to hear this, then that's exactly what's happening. And your body doesn't have the capability to move past that, move beyond the emotional barrier, which is a subluxation all in and of itself, to get to the frontal cortex of the brain, make an action step, and then you can move on.
Yeah.
Right? So there's this barrier where your brain gets stuck in this emotional pattern. And so a lot of people go, well, how could emotions lead to subluxation, doctor? This is how it happens. The signal gets stuck in the amygdala, stuck in the basal ganglia. Those are big words to describe the emotional centers of the brain. Right? It could be summated as the limbic system. And you don't get the signal to the action step center of the brain, which is where it needs to go, where it ultimately should have ended up in the first place. So imagine that this is happening millions and millions of times, day in, day out, with all the signals trying to work through your brain, right? We've got millions of neurons up there. And that over time is what's going to lead to subluxation patterns where your body says, hey, we've got to get those signals there. We've got to get the signals from the brain to the pancreas. We've got to get the signals down to the cortisol response, which helps to regulate insulin long term. And your body will start to create these subluxation patterns as a way to say, well, maybe it'll help if we do this. Maybe it'll help to shift the spine in a certain way to compensate for the lack of communication, whatever that is.
And think of it like this too. When all that stress is in our brain mentally, it creates a physical change in our body. Like most of us feel stress across the upper part of our back, our shoulders, the back of our neck and our head. We can have headaches, we can have neck pain, we can have stiffness. And isn't it interesting that that region, so like that zone of your spine where most of us feel this, are the ones that control heart and lungs and liver and gallbladder. So then we wonder why we have these organic effects, right? So digestion starts to slow down, you get acid reflux, you get elevated blood sugars, sometimes cholesterol start to go up because it's a looping cycle. If the nerve is interfered with, the signal from the brain doesn't go to the organ effectively. The organ is thus stressed out, so it sends a signal back to the brain saying, hey, I need life and energy and function. The brain is congested and clogged, like you just mentioned, so it's this double loop pathway. And what's so vital about understanding this is once you recognize this, and you get the correct evaluation, which we're going to talk about, and you remove these subluxations, not only does focus and memory and attention and this sort of mental release come back, but the physical release takes place, and then you get the organic effect. I mean, we have seen countless patients drop blood pressure, drop blood sugars, restore cholesterols, triglycerides, have massive improvements in skin conditions and everything simply by incorporating chiropractic care into their healthy routines.
Exactly.
Because most people miss this.
Yep, exactly. And I want to ask you guys, all the listeners, a question. Can you feel when your blood sugar starts to drop? Now, I'm not talking about big drops or big swings. If your blood sugar is really high, where, you know, it's down in the 30s or 40s or up in the 2, 3, 400s. I'm talking about where your body doesn't do a good job regulating, where after you eat a meal, it's up around 180, 190, or, you know, it's dropping it during the middle of the night, maybe to, you know, 60s, maybe high 50s. Are you really feeling that? No, you're not. Your body does a really good job re-regulating itself. Typically, it'll compensate. Your body will subluxate, and you will keep yourself going, even though you've now turned off some other functionality because the nerve has become compressed. So you're not feeling that. So it's almost like we could have this subluxation timeline where at some point years ago, your body lost the ability to regulate its blood sugars properly for whatever the accumulated stress reason was. Now, you start to have this pain all these years later in your mid-back. And you see where I'm going with this? We have to differentiate the pain that you're feeling from all these subluxations that have led to this compensation where now the back muscles are tighter, the spine feels locked, and now you have some sort of pain signal going off.
Yeah.
But this is where you know, when someone comes in and goes, I've got this pain here, doc, we don't go, oh, can we adjust you for your pain? We can't. And honestly, we don't know if an adjustment or a therapy is going to increase or decrease your pain because pain is organic and we have to listen to what your body is doing organically in order to help you. Your body's ability to regulate blood sugar is organic, as we discussed already. And we can then test to figure out, oh my gosh, you are not regulating your blood sugar well at all. And so on this timeline, it's really important to know that when you get under some sort of therapy or treatment or whatever modality is needed to help the blood sugar, what's one of the first things that typically goes away? Oh my gosh, it's the pain. It's the pain response, right? People say, oh my gosh, I'm feeling so much better, doc. And you know what? I did see that drop in blood pressure. But guess what? Have the subluxations been removed so that your body can regulate its blood sugar all on its own? That's the bigger question because you've accumulated the stress for such a long period of time, decades potentially. you can imagine how much time it's going to take to remove the subluxations from your nervous system so that your body can regulate itself all on its own.
And in that same token, we have to talk about how do we actually find these subluxations, because you can't necessarily always feel them.
Yes.
And we have some technology that exists where we can do what's known as a thermogram, which is basically a way to look at heat signatures coming off the spine. Any areas of interference on this thermogram will show up as a hot spot. And the neat thing is it'll hone in on which region of the spine is involved. Yeah. And so since we know in the respects of diabetes, it's the vagus nerve, it's the middle thoracic nerves that control, the liver and the pancreas.
Exactly.
So if we do a thermal scan on someone and it's coming back hot at vagal and mid-thoracic zones and they have diabetes, there's our connection going, okay, hey, this could be a subluxation. Now, the most important thing is taking x-rays, and I'm holding up as an example an x-ray of how we assess the vagal tone. We're looking at the very top of the skull to discover, is there an open space? Is there an area for the nerve to exit? In this example, you can see how it's extremely closed and compressed, whereas over here, after several months of therapy, opened up, and this patient had a tremendous change in metabolic function, again, simply because we're removing this thing that most people have never heard of, called a subluxation.
Yeah. And the other thing about x-rays too are x-rays show the micro traumas. And guess what? When we look for those micro traumas as subluxations within your spine, within your nervous system, we are detecting these micro changes. Yeah. So we're looking at it at a millimeter level. You're not coming in with medical images saying, yeah, my medical doctor said my spine looks great. I went to the orthopedist last month or last year. My spine looks great. Well, maybe from a medical point of view,
because they look for fractures and dislocations. We're looking more for the alignment, the structure, and the function. Is the nerve actually sending the correct signal?
Right. A 1 millimeter shift is enough to change the neurological function of the nerve that's inside the armor, which is your spine.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is there have been studies where they've done MRIs on patients and they've confirmed that roughly 90% of people who go in and get an evaluation of their spine come back having a positive finding of a subluxation. Nerve interference interfering with the signaling of your brain to your organ systems. And again, as our show topic is about diabetes, if you have type 2 diabetes, you're taking medications, your sugars are high, or you're going to see as we come back from a commercial break, even type 1 diabetics, if you have not been screened and assessed for subluxation, this could be the underlying undiagnosed root cause that you don't know about. And again, we're offering a free ebook that shows you how do we detect these subluxations? What are the tests? How do we understand the interpretation of them? And we're hosting a masterclass again on Saturday, April 8th, where we will take you step by step through. These are the tests, these are the evaluations, these are the root causes. And we have seen people with type 2 diabetes reversing it in 90 days, even 6 months, because again, we're removing subluxations, addressing the underlying root causes, allowing the body to heal by itself. And you have that opportunity now. Text the word diabetes with your name and email to 704-906-2094. The ebook is yours for free. The masterclass is yours for free. And you can be set free.
That's right.
By becoming your own doctor, being educated, learning what it means to have these root causes. We discussed last week how there's metabolic disturbance. There can be heavy metal toxicity. We're going to go deeper into that in some upcoming weeks. But today's topic is, again, what if it's a nerve issue? What if all this time you've been struggling with your sugars and your A1C and even insulin usage, and it's just simply you have a spinal misalignment you can't feel? The research says 90% of people have these, and they're not being assessed and addressed properly. This is what we do day in and day out here in our clinics in Charlotte, and you have such an amazing opportunity to learn how to engage that now to bring some health and healing for yourself.
Exactly, and this is where regulating your sugars or being told you have diabetes is so much more than a sugar or an insulin problem or even a pancreas problem. So many other organ systems within your body have an influence on what ultimately happens with your blood sugar. Your adrenal glands do, your kidneys do, your liver does. And so when we talk about having subluxation and the nerves that go from specific spinal segments to those nerves, they all have to be evaluated. And you need to know, is there that interference? Is there that stopping point where that signal is changed, altered, or inhibited in any way from being able to go to that specific organ and provide whatever signal needs to happen so that organ can now regulate blood sugar properly?
When we come back from this commercial break, we're going to reveal research that shows this works, what a subluxation is, and reversing it. We're going to show you more deeper tests on how you identify it. And really, the steps you can take now to start eliminating this neurological stress within your spine. Take a moment right now, text the word diabetes with your name and email to 704-906-2094. The Diabetes Heal Thyself ebook is yours for free. Masterclass is on Saturday, April 8th. Don't go away. We will be right back.
See you guys soon.
What if we told you coffee was good for you?
Coffee is the single highest source of antioxidants in the Western diet. More antioxidants than kale, more antioxidants than 70% dark chocolate, and more antioxidants than blueberries.
In fact, what if we told you that coffee is really good for you?
Research shows that 3 to 5 cups of coffee per day dramatically enhances performance in high-intensity exercise, improves memory, reaction times, and overall cognitive function, decreases risk of depression, promotes weight loss by boosting metabolic rates, reduces risk of type 2 diabetes up to 40%, decreases risk of liver cancer up to 71%, reduces risk of Parkinson's up to 30%, and decreases risk of Alzheimer's up to 65%. Overall, coffee drinkers live longer. People who drink 3 to 5 cups of coffee per day have about a 15% lower risk of premature mortality compared to people who don't drink coffee.
And what if we told you that the health benefits of coffee could actually be increased through conscious roasting, sourcing, and processing? Introducing Purity, a health-conscious coffee company. At Purity, we've brought together a world-class team to analyze every step in the production chain from cherry to cup. We make decisions with only one thing in mind: how can we make the healthiest coffee in the world? Here's our 3-step process. Step 1, we search the world for the highest quality organic green beans that meet our exacting standards. Way less than 1% of coffee worldwide fit our sourcing criteria. Step 2, we test, and test again to create a specific roasting protocol for each harvest that maximizes healthy compounds and minimizes toxins. Step 3, we nitrogen pack our coffee within 48 hours of roasting and deliver to your door every 2 weeks to ensure maximum freshness. The result is the ultimate coffee drinking experience. You'll not only taste the difference in our clean, healthy coffee, with Purity, you'll feel the difference.
Our coffee club members report a bright, alert lift with less jitters than regular coffee and much more gentle on the stomach.
Sign up for Purity today, and you'll never have to worry about your source for healthy coffee again.
Hi, my name is Gary Greenfield with Greenfield Water Solutions, and I want to introduce you to our newest product, the MR500. It's a whole house structured water filter system. It's set up in an all stainless steel multi-round filter housing. It features inlet and outlet for the water, a bleeder valve for when you're changing out the filters to reduce pressure, and to remove the top for access to the filters. We simply open up the clamp, remove the top, and this plate here holds all the filters in place. Simple to remove. It comes out, and you can see what we have on the inside here. It's 5 Aquamedics filters and a vortexing tube and a harmonizer. That's the whole system. This is designed to filter 5 gallons per minute, and all of the contaminants that it does remove are listed on the website, which is a very broad array of contaminants. These are the highest rated filters that I know of on the market that are filter cartridges. They can be changed out yearly. And of course, the process is very simple. You won't have to hire a plumber to do a change out. And the filters are available from Greenfield Water Solutions. And if you want to know more about this, you can read about it on the product page or give us a call. Thanks for watching. That's it for now from Greenfield Water Solutions.
To bring you the best natural wine the world has to offer, we've designed a fully curated membership program. Every selection you receive is different and unique. Every wine is picked by our wine team, lab tested for purity, and curated into a special box for your enjoyment. So how does the membership work? We offer 2 main options: a half case of 6 bottles or a full case of 12. You can request all reds, all whites, or a perfect split of both. Then you can set the frequency, monthly or every other month. We offer a similar simple membership for rosé and sparkling wines. After you choose these basic options, we'll do the rest. With every box we send you, we aim to present the greatest diversity of flavors, textures, and profiles. There is a healthy mix of the classics, but also rare varietals. We do this because natural wines taste different from their commercial counterparts. We want to share the best possible experience with you, so you can discover new wines you love. And you can always reorder a wine that took your heart, or ask us to avoid certain profiles. The best part is, you don't need any wine knowledge to fully enjoy these boxes. We curate our selections to be enjoyed without worry. Ultimately, this is Dry Farm Wines. We are so grateful to be able to share the power of natural wines with you.
Would you like to experience a better night's sleep? Want to feel well rested and ready for your day? Discover an amazing solution with Celliant Sleep Recovery. Our Celliant Sleep Recovery products are made from a patented yarn embedded with a blend of 13 infrared active minerals. Celliant technology never washes out. The benefits will last for their entire lifespan. Minerals reflect the body's own energy by using Celliant infrared active technology, boosting your oxygen levels and improving circulation to reach REM sleep gracefully. Our customers love to comfortably sleep throughout the night because of Celliant. We've conducted 9 independent clinical studies by well-respected scientific institutions and universities that prove the many positive effects Celliant has on the body. Our technology is designed to help you achieve a refreshing sleep recovery. Experience the foundation your body deserves. Start waking up refreshed and always ready for the day ahead. It's time to achieve the best sleep of your life to unlock your hidden potential. Start experiencing a better night's sleep with our Celliant Sleep Recovery products today. Celliant. Recycle your body's energy.
Welcome back. Happy Saturday. You're listening to the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. I'm your co-host, Dr. Aaron Ernst, along with co-host Dr. Chris Demczar.
Yeah, happy to be back.
And it's, remember, the show where pounds are shed, disease is dead, and where you can be set free from your health problems when you become your own doctor. And today we're talking about engaging the, I'll call it, lesser known medically, but yet so vitally important aspect of taking a look at your nervous system when it comes to type 2 diabetes. We talked about how there's this condition that's been identified chiropractically as a subluxation. It is an interference in nerve functionality because of one or more spinal segments being out of alignment, which puts a compressive load on a nerve root, and that decreases the function of the nerve. And because your nervous system is controlling all the organs and the cells and the tissues within your body, if you have a subluxation on the vagus nerve, which can help to control the parasympathetic process of the liver and the pancreas, or you have a subluxation within the middle part of the thoracics, T7, 8, 9, 10, which is the sympathetics to the liver and the pancreas, it could be the reason there's an alteration in insulin secretion, insulin sensitivity, blood sugars themselves, as being an underlying root cause.
Exactly. Yeah, we're really blowing the lid off of the fact that diabetes is not just a blood sugar issue, right? At the root of it, it's a subluxation. It's a nervous system. It's a master control system issue, and that can be changed and altered once you have done the detective work to figure out where is the subluxation within your own nervous system, but to also understand that is a larger organ system involvement as well. So I know we talked about it the first half of the show that there is like you said, there's liver involvement from a glycemic or a blood sugar level control. There's obviously the pancreas that controls the hormones that are going to help regulate blood sugar, but there is an adrenal involvement from a hormonal standpoint. There's even a heart involvement of your body's ability to send the sugar, which is going to be used for energy, to the working cells of the body. And then there's other organ systems that are involved as well. Ultimately, they all have to function optimally, organically, the word you like to use, Dr. Ernst, stemming from the nervous system signals you get from your nervous system. And if you have a subluxation, if you have that interference that doesn't let the signal get to those organs, then you're never going to have proper blood sugar regulation. And you may be being told you have diabetes when you actually don't.
And so let's talk about like what does this actually show in research, okay? So here's a study published. The title says Resolution of Type 2 Diabetes in a 67-year-old female following subluxation-based chiropractic care. So we have to talk again, like, what does it mean to be subluxation-based? We're not looking for where are things hurting, what kind of trauma have you had. We're identifying the nerve interferences using thermography and x-ray, and we're being very specific with the style of chiropractic care to reset the alignment of the spine, to release the nerve stress, get rid of the subluxation, and allow the body to recommunicate with itself properly, neurologically, to increase function. So this patient was a 67-year-old female who at the age of 40 got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. So it's 27 years of taking medications for type 2 diabetes. When she went to her chiropractor, they found multiple regions of subluxations, so cervical, thoracic, and lumbar. And now watch this. The patient began getting specific structural chiropractic care using a technique that we use in our clinic. It's a diversified technique. It's a manual adjustment using a table. And after just 4 visits, okay, I'm going to read this word for word, so right here in the study. After 4 visits, the patient returned to her medical doctor and was able to stop taking insulin for her diabetes. Her blood sugar levels remained normal throughout the remainder of her care. This is powerful, is it not?
Yeah, it is.
So 4 adjustments, 4 corrections of the spine to remove subluxation, and someone who's been dealing with diabetes for 27 years was able to stop taking medications and allow the body to start healing by itself. I don't know if you understand how powerful that is. And it's the aspect of, I think, the missing link, okay? Your classic medical physician, if you're an MD and I come to you with diabetes, is going to do what kind of testing?
Just test your blood sugar.
And when the A1C and the sugars are elevated, they're going to use
some sort of medical therapy, right? Medication.
Prescriptive approach. And as long as my numbers look good, I'm going to be labeled as being managed and, in the zone of, I'll call it resolved.
Yeah.
Now, watch this. A patient with type 2 diabetes comes into a functional structural clinic like ours. Are we running some labs and things to confirm that the numbers are looking the way they are? Yes. But one of the biggest differences, we're going to go straight to a spinal neurological evaluation, not to look for diabetes, but to look for this misalignment known as subluxation to see if it's involved in the expression of why the sugars are so high.
Right. And if you're still listening from the first half of the show, I talked about the accumulation timeline of subluxation. So here's a patient who medicated for 27 years, which means that 27 years ago, she was told, there's something wrong with the way that her body regulates blood sugar. And so the subluxation was already present back then. But then for 27 years, was the subluxation corrected? Was the neurological interference corrected? No. There was a prescriptive approach that just led to more issues and led to the ability to say, well, maybe the labs look good, right? The medical doctor labs look good, but the actual organic functionality of her body was still not okay. And her organ systems were probably going crazy. And I guarantee, I know we didn't dive into the deep parts, the real issues behind what started going on that led to this woman coming to a chiropractor, a functional, specific, structural chiropractor for that matter. But I guarantee you there's starting to become other problems that she was noticing with potentially other organ systems, because the subluxation doesn't just lead to the presentation of diabetes.
Yeah.
The subluxation can lead to any and all health conditions, all health concerns at the same time. So she could have noticed that she was starting to, maybe her diabetes was becoming mismanaged again, but there could have been other issues like unmanaged headaches. There could have been other visceral issues with the way that her body regulated digestion or ability to use the bathroom. There could have been anything that started to pop up, because these are more warning signs from her body saying, oh my gosh, you've accumulated so much subluxation, let it just manifest and stay there for so long. That continuous lack of nerve flow wherever it was within her body finally was starting to catch up and make really bad things happen within her.
And I want to make sure we're kind of like visually clear on what a subluxation is. So when we look at your spine, what we should see is from a frontal position, the alignment of the bones would be completely straight. The reason for this is the nerves exit between the discs where there's a spinal canal. It's called an intervertebral foramen. So as this nerve is exiting, if it's unobstructed, clear, and free, then we have perfect signaling. Often what we find is when someone comes in for an evaluation, there is an alignment issue. There's a curvature or a compression to the disc, which blocks the nerve. And if this is the nerve that's going to your liver or your pancreas, we get an expression of the effect.
Yeah.
Could this be elevated blood sugars and elevated A1C and changes in insulin sensitivity? Yes. If it's at a different region that controls, say, for example, cardiothoracics, so your heart, could that lead to blood pressure, palpitations, arrhythmia? Yes. If it's lower down in the lower back, going to things like your kidneys and your intestines, could that cause, constipation, diarrhea, irritable bowel, IBS? Yes. So one of the most important things you can do is have your spine evaluated structurally to determine if you have a health issue, diabetes, for example. Do you have subluxation in the zones of your spine that control that organ? Because if you do, you're never going to see a full effect as a result of doing diet or taking medications or something to that effect.
Right. And so when we see misalignment as well, it's easy to look at the compression side, and I'll over exaggerate this. It's easy to look at the compression side, say, oh, I could see how that could lead to neurological subluxation. But don't forget, there's an equal and opposite reaction happening on the other side of the spine, and that is the tension side. That tensile force, it can be just as detrimental to the neurological signals that's going through. And we're not talking about the structure, the detriment to the structure. Your spine is still there. It's still integrated. It's still doing its job to protect the spinal cord. It is the holy grail of the neurological tissue and what's happening to that. The second there is a compression or tension or torque, for those of you with scoliosis and other torque-related spinal conditions, that changes the signal that is flowing out of these nerves to go to their specific organ system or cell.
Yep. So if you'd like more information again on what we're discussing and how to identify these, everything we're talking about is described in our Diabetes Heal Thyself ebook, the neurological connection, the vagal tone, the torque against the spine, the x-rays, how to read them, even the thermographies that you can have done and how to read those, all found in the ebook, which is yours free. Text the word diabetes plus your name and email to grab this free ebook, and also to attend our Diabetes Heal Thyself or Destroying Diabetes Masterclass, Saturday, April 8th. It's at 10 a.m. in the morning. The event is absolutely free. We're going to walk you through step by step. How do you identify? How do you locate? How do you remove? And how do you repair subluxations and the other key interferences that leads to having a diabetic condition so your body can heal and you can potentially start reducing and or eliminating medications. Again, it's the word diabetes with your name and email to 704-906-2094.
I love it. And so let's move on. We've got more research, right? Because we could talk about anecdotal evidence all day.
Yeah.
We've got plenty of that, but ultimately it's right here already for you guys in the research. We've got it printed out. We want to share it with you. And so here is a 61-year-old patient who had been dealing with diabetes for 20 years. So before the 20 years, there was an accumulation timeline of subluxation. Now they've been dealing with managed diabetes for 20 years medically. Subluxation still present, still there. And they went, again, to a structured, functional, neurologically based chiropractor like ourselves that did some of the diversified adjustments that we also do here in our office. And they did 1 month of chiropractic care, 1 month of visits. We don't have the frequency here, but they did 1 month of care. And after, they also made some dietary changes to help their body regulate blood sugar from a metabolic standpoint, to help things become easier that way. And then after the second month of continuing with chiropractic care, this patient went back to the medical doctor and discontinued anything that they were doing medically because their blood sugar had normalized. And the medical doctor confirmed this. Yeah. So not only are we as chiropractors saying, hey, look, It's right here in all of your faces. All you have to do is read it. The medical doctors are confirming it, that after the chiropractic care, after the removal of subluxation, after removal of the interference of whatever was causing the nervous system not to communicate with the rest of the body properly, that specifically this health condition, right, we're talking about diabetes today, was able to be healed.
Yeah.
It wasn't a treatment for diabetes. It's not a cure for diabetes. It is a cure to allow the body to open up the signaling pathways so that the body can then go and heal itself.
And this is the tough part, right? The treatment is designed on removing the interference in the spine. And because the spine is what controls and regulates all organ function, you get an improvement in organic function. Sugars drop, A1C drops, insulin sensitivity improves, but we're not actually treating the diabetes.
Right, no.
We're working against the subluxation effect in the spine. Now watch this, right? How about, you've probably been told, even the listeners right now, that type 1 diabetes is something that either you're born with or it's genetic, and once you have it, there's no way to improve
There's
upon
no going
this.
back.
So listen to this. This was a study published in 2011. Improved A1C levels in a patient with insulin-dependent type 1 diabetes. So they had to require the use of external insulin because their pancreas wasn't producing enough. After 24 visits, which I can guarantee you is probably over the course of maybe like just 2 or 3 months, using a specific structural-based chiropractic technique, this 4-year-old saw significant reductions in hemoglobin A1C and was able to lessen the administration of insulin. So how on earth could a chiropractic adjustment help to decrease the stress? Or I just gave it away. How could a chiropractic adjustment help a type 1, 4-year-old diabetic to decrease insulin? Because when you remove the interference on the nervous system that's creating the signal for the pancreas to make the insulin in the first place, now the pancreas can start actually saying, okay, I've got more juice, I have more energy, I have more life force, and it can thus create more insulin, so then you don't need as much externally.
Yes, and let's talk about, I'm going to bring it back, that accumulation timeline of subluxation. This is a 4-year-old that we're talking about who's being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So her accumulation timeline is much shorter. She hasn't had the subluxation for nearly as long of a period of time. And so look how quickly she was able to resolve this issue, get her body to open up and communicate naturally. So that way her diabetes, she was essentially type 1 diabetes free because she removed the subluxation that was within her nervous system. Where for some of these other examples, we have patients that are 40, 50, 60 plus years old. It takes a little bit longer because that accumulation timeline of subluxation, not of diabetes, of subluxation has been there so much longer.
Yeah. And I think it's important that we note, like, you're never going to be able to go to your classic MD and, for an annual physical and say, hey, can you identify subluxations? Okay. They're not trained in this. It's not a technique of therapy they provide. So that's a very tall order to ask an MD to do this.
And it's very different because medically a subluxation, it's like if you have a shoulder dislocation, your shoulder joint has, or your shoulder, the humerus bone has popped out of the glenohumeral socket, right? So a subluxation is a partial dislocation medically. So when you start talking about the nervous system and subluxation with your medical doctor, they're going to go, well, the nerves, there are nerves that go to that area and flow through that area as part of the brachial plexus and the downstream effects of the nerves from that. But the nerves are fine. And you didn't dislocate your shoulder, did you? Those are the questions that you're going to get asked most likely when you start talking about a subluxation medically.
Because typically a medical evaluation of the spine is to look for arthritis and stenosis and disc ruptures or even fractures. So when you get a spine evaluated for subluxation, it's done differently. So we use in our structural-based chiropractic offices, again, the thermography, because it's a device where we can roll it up the spine, check the heat signatures coming off each nerve zone. If there's an area that's warmer than it should be, we know something's going on there.
Right.
We go straight into taking a structural specific x-ray. We're looking for the angulature. We're looking for the alignment. We're looking for the position to determine, are the nerve channels open, free, and clear? And if it's anything other than a normal pattern, so like for example, we know the neck needs to have a C-shaped curve. We know there needs to be space behind the vagal area underneath the skull. We know there's certain positions that the head needs to be in. If there's any deviation against the normal pattern, as an example in this case, how the spine is straightened out, the skull has dropped down, the vagus nerve is present, here is visible x-ray documentation that can be scored by severity of a subluxation. We can start to use corrective therapies with structural-based chiropractic, physiotherapies, rehabilitation, and actually change the structure open the nerve channels and allow for more flow of the brain's power through the nervous system. And that is what leads to increased organic function.
Yeah.
So it comes back to, again, if you're a type 2 diabetic and you've been taking medications and you've never been screened for subluxation, that is the very first step that needs to be done. We describe how you get screening for subluxations in the ebook. We have our masterclass coming up on April 8th, which will take you straight through the process of how to do that. We even have special offers for those of you who are in the local area to be able to have an evaluation done like that. Text the word diabetes plus your name and your email to 704-906-2094. You get the ebook for free, you get the masterclass for free, and you can basically start the steps in the journey now towards resolving the neurological stress leading to this effect known as type 2 diabetes.
Yeah. And I love how you describe in the x-rays. Yes, there is an optimal position that every single joint, every single bone, vertebra they're called, within your spine should be at.
Yes.
And that is ultimately going to influence the function of the nervous system. Now, as the body accumulates stress, the nervous system is going to go, hey, body, bones, you guys have to shift and compensate so that way we can try to keep some functionality going on through here. It's okay if it influences other things negatively. We've got to keep this system, this flow of neural energy going still. And that's what the subluxation is. So the second we can determine, and even by 1 millimeter, right? The margin of error is so small here for your body. So we have to be as specific as possible. We need to know down to the millimeter if there's been a structural shift, a structural change that's abnormal for your body to then hang out in. Who wants to have some abnormal structural shift for 27 years, I think was what one of the research studies showed, that somebody had subluxation for that long period of time. And so then going back to the thermography, is it normal for your body to have these massive temperature swings from a neurological level?
Yeah, no.
It's not. That shouldn't happen. Your body should be able to deal with the stresses of the world. They're always going to be there. Your body always has to be able to adapt to them. And that's what this temperature test shows. If your body is not able to do that, it's going to be a very specific pattern. It's going to show, obviously, now technology allows us to make them these very bright and vivid colors to know, hey, you've got a neurological issue there. Let's hone in on that, figure out what's really going on, and then see if there's an appropriate therapy or adjustment that can be applied to make a corrective change, not to get the temperature to change. Again, that would be chasing a symptom or a problem. The bigger problem is how the subluxation is affecting your life. It's affecting your health. And that's what we're going after when we help patients heal here at this office.
Yeah,
or
we've
worldwide.
seen this. 15 years helping people identify, remove, and correct subluxations. 15 years of seeing people break free from diabetes, even insulin-dependent diabetes, even things like high blood pressure, cholesterol, metabolic disturbances, because again, it comes back to the root cause. Because your nervous system is controlling every square inch of your body, any interference or subluxation in that at any location in your spine affects organic function. And again, as we've been talking, most people who have been medicating for diabetes have never been screened, never been checked, never had the evaluations done. And you have that opportunity now. Learn more about the tests. Download the ebook. It's free. Diabetes Heal Thyself. Text the word diabetes plus your name and email to 704-906-2094. Join us for the masterclass on the 8th of April, where you're going to learn every single step that needs to be done, and you can connect with clinics like us in the greater Charlotte area on having the proper evaluations done, identifying the subluxations, removing them, and letting your body heal by itself.
Yeah, I can't tell you the amount of patients that we get to work with who do have a blood sugar regulation issue because of subluxation.
Yeah.
And even after one therapy or one adjustment, we may ask and say, hey, we need to see how your body's regulating blood sugar now and for the next 24 hours. And so we may do a blood sugar challenge test. And the results have been amazing. It's all anecdotal. It's coming from, the patient giving us this information, but they'll come back and say, oh my gosh, I'm used to my blood sugar swings being extremely high to extremely low over a 24-hour period. Yeah. And typically they'll notice that all of a sudden the body's regulating itself organically. And yes, they're not back within what would be considered a normal range yet, but their body's doing a much better job being able to slow the swing.
And you'd be amazed how many people actually can get their sugars to go from a super high region to a normal level just after one session of removing subluxation. Hey, thanks for tuning in this week. We look forward to seeing you guys each and every week. This is the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. Have an exceptional day. Be blessed, and we'll see you guys next week.
Take care, guys.